Today, we are diving into something really special. It's a book called Healed at the Root by Tina Pearson, and it's a powerful guide for anyone looking to heal from trauma. What's so unique about it is its faith-based framework. We're not just talking about managing symptoms here, we're talking about getting to the very source of our pain. So let's get into it right from the very first page. From the dedication, you can feel the heart behind this book. This isn't just an academic exercise. It's a personal, compassionate message. It's a promise, really, that no matter what your story is or where you are on that path, you are seen, you are known, and the goal, the destination, is wholeness. So, what does this healing journey actually look like? Well, the book lays out a really clear four-part map for us. First, we're going to look at understanding trauma's roots, figuring out where the pain actually started. Then we'll dive into the active journey to healing. After that, we get into the practical stuff, tools for rewiring your mind and body. And finally, we'll explore what it truly means to live a life that's free and whole. Okay, so let's start with that first absolutely crucial step, understanding our roots. The idea here is so simple, but it's also incredibly profound. You can't really start to heal a wound if you don't know where it came from in the first place. So what are we really talking about when we say trauma? Through this lens, it's so much more than just a single bad thing that happened. It's that lingering echo. That's a great word for it. It's the internal state of pain, of confusion, of silence that we carry with us, sometimes for years and years, long after the event itself is over. To help us grasp this, Pearson uses this incredible metaphor of a root system. I love this. Think about a tree. The part we see above ground, maybe our anxiety, our anger, our struggles in relationships, that's all being fed by this massive, invisible system of roots underground. And those roots, those are our past wounds, our childhood experiences, shaping us in ways we might not even be aware of. And these roots, well, they can be things that are tragically clear-cut, like parental abandonment or abuse. But they can also be more subtle. Things like the really complex wounds around adoption and a sense of belonging, or even spiritual wounds, what some people call church hurt, that pain that comes from the very places that were supposed to be safe havens. And right here, we see the core method of the book in action. It takes a specific, deeply painful wound, like the feeling of being forsaken by your parents, and it meets that pain directly with a promise of truth. The pain isn't ignored, it's fully acknowledged, but then it's answered with this powerful promise of acceptance and love that stands in direct opposition to that wound. So once we start to get a handle on our roots, the real internal work can begin. This next stage, it's all about facing the pain head-on and starting to take off the masks we've all learned to wear just to get by. This part of the journey requires some pretty raw honesty, and it starts with questions just like this one. What mask do you wear? Are you the strong one who never shows weakness? The people pleaser who can't bear to disappoint anyone? Or maybe the silent sufferer who holds it all inside? The point is, real healing can't start until we're honest about the ways we've been coping. A central technique in the book is to identify the lies that trauma tells us and confront them with truth. So, for example, a survivor of abuse might carry this deep-seated, painful lie that says, "I am dirty." The healing process here is to actively, deliberately replace that lie with a powerful truth, like this promise of being washed white as snow. It's an intentional act of rewriting your inner script. Now, we have to talk about forgiveness, which is a huge part of this. But it's defined in a really specific and, I think, freeing way. Forgiveness here does not mean saying what happened to you was okay. Not at all. It's an act of personal liberation. It's you deciding to cut the rope that tethers you to that pain, declaring you will no longer have control over my life. And this whole forgiveness thing is often way more complex than we think. It's usually a threefold path. There's forgiving the people who hurt you, which is what we normally think of, but then there's forgiving yourself for how you survived or for any blame you've unfairly carried. And for a lot of people of faith, there's also this piece about releasing anger you might have toward God for allowing it all to happen. Okay, so we're doing the deep internal work of acknowledgement and forgiveness. But how do we make that stick in our daily lives? This third section is all about the practical, hands-on tools that help us rewire our minds and even our bodies for a totally new reality. The whole foundation for this section is this idea of being transformed by the renewing of your mind. And what's amazing is that this is really a faith-based way of describing what science now calls neuroplasticity, this incredible fact that our brains aren't stuck. We can actually participate in creating new pathways, new thought patterns that aren't based in trauma. A huge piece of this rewiring process is understanding our triggers. A trigger is really just a cue. It could be a smell, a tone of voice, a random memory that flips a switch and reactivates all those old physical and emotional feelings of trauma. But here's the most important part. Being triggered is not a sign that you're failing. It's actually an invitation to heal. It's like an arrow pointing to a place that still needs care. So what do you actually do in that moment when you're triggered? The book gives this fantastic 4-step action plan. First, start with your body. Breathe. Deep breaths to tell your nervous system you're safe. Second, ground yourself in the present moment. What are 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch? Third, speak a truth you've decided on beforehand to fight the lie that's screaming at you. And fourth, pray honestly. Just pour it all out. And it's so important to remember this isn't all just in your head. Our bodies remember. The body keeps the score, as they say. That's why honoring your body with things like rest and gentle movement and good care, it isn't just self-help fluff. In this framework, it's a deeply spiritual act. It's part of reclaiming and healing every part of you. And all of this work, the digging, the acknowledging, the rewiring, it all leads us to this final, beautiful, and hopeful part of the journey, moving out of survival mode and into a life where you are truly thriving. See, the whole focus shifts here. The goal is no longer just to make it through the day. It's not just about surviving your past. The goal is to step fully into that promise of a full and abundant life. A life that's defined not by old pain, but by new joy, by purpose, and by a deep sense of peace. So what does this rooted in wholeness actually look like in real life? Well, it means you know deep in your bones that your identity isn't trauma survivor, but something so much more. It means you can set healthy boundaries with people without feeling crushed by guilt. It means your triggers don't rule your life anymore. You can live with intentional joy. And maybe the most beautiful part, your story, the one that caused so much pain, becomes a source of light and hope for other people. We're left with this ultimate, powerful promise of freedom. So if the sun sets you free, you will be free indeed. It's just a final, powerful note of hope. And it leaves us with a question to really sit with. What would it look like, and what would it feel like in your own life to be truly and completely free?